Hold up.
My name is Dave. This is Joe.
I listened to that podcast and I was like, I'm with him.
That sounds really cool. And then Chris Humphries hard fouls and Kevin Garnett pushes him straight into the third row. Let's go. My name is Dave. This is Joe. Let's go.
This is the Boston Sports Nerds Podcast, the B.S.N Show.
Joe, you got anything you want to say before you go?
No, we have talked a lot.
We have nothing left in the tank.
Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the Boston Sports Nerds Podcast, the B.S.N Show. My name is Dave, and in a weird way, I guess I'm on a very sonic level. I am accompanied by my two fellow nerds here, Aaron and Joe. To my right, I have a bicycle that I paid way too much money for and I never use. And to my left, I have an empty bar stool. We got bombed with another snowstorm. We got crushed. Another nor'easter. Third one in 3 weeks. One was a really bad rainstorm, turned into a little bit of snow, ton of wind, not bad. Some snow, not bad. About 4.5 inches, turned into a lot of rain. Tuesday, March 13th, we got about 15, 16 inches of snow where I am. About 1.5 feet almost, I'd say. A wild amount of snow. So we had to do one of those things, sort of like the bomb cyclone, where we all recorded our own separate podcast, about 20 minutes each. And I'm going to mesh them all together. And then we'll be back next week. All three of us. So right now I'm in my new apartment. You can hear my fridge running, I'm pretty sure. That's probably picking up pretty well. But I'm in my new apartment. And it's Thursday. I'm recording mine on Thursday, March 15th. Aaron and Joe did theirs. I think Aaron did his on Tuesday, the 13th, the night of the actual snowstorm, because he went away for the weekend. He's actually out of town. And Joe did his on Wednesday. So some of the information that they have may be a tad dated based on what I might talk about, but I haven't listened to theirs either, so I'm not even going to respond. I know last time we did this, I was like, I heard it, and I didn't really want to react to theirs, and I still don't. I still think it's unfair. So what I want to talk about is the unnecessary panic button by Celtics fans right now, because they're hurt. Everybody's hurt. Like, if you're a Celtics fan, you're probably injured. That's how deep down the rabbit hole of injuries the Celtics are right now. And it's an issue. Yeah, I get it. I totally understand it. But a lot of people are like freaking out, like, oh, the season's over. They're done. And I don't think that that's the case. They're now 4.5 back at Toronto. 5 games in the loss column, 4 in the win. They still have 2 games left against Toronto. The only reason I brought it up last week on the podcast that I was a little nervous about Toronto taking the East, because, I think the later you face the Cavs, the better. But the season's not over. They played 68 games. There's still 14 left. Now, 4.5 in 14 games is crazy. I shouldn't say crazy. But when you have 2 games against them, you can make up 2 games like that. So then you have 2.5 games with 12 games to go. That's not bad. You could do that. Toronto wants to take a night, rest some guys for the playoffs. Oh, all of a sudden it's 1.5. Whoa, wait a minute. There's a plethora of injuries right now. But the real interesting update from last week was I said, I don't want to play Cleveland in the second round. I also said that today. I also said that like 45 seconds ago. In breaking this week's news, the Indiana Pacers are 3rd in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland is 4th. So you wouldn't have to face Cleveland in the second round. That's interesting. So right now, the way things shake out for the Celtics, is they would play the Bucks at 7. The Raptors would face the Heat at 8. So 1-8, 2-7. Pacers would get the Sixers. That's actually a really interesting series. I would really like to see that matchup. I think the Sixers could win that series, actually. I think that they have more talent on their team. And then you have Cavs, Wizards, 4-5. I'm not sure what John Wall's situation is. I'm not sure if he's coming back. If he is, that's actually, again, another really good matchup. Oh, and by the way, the Cavs only hold a 1-game lead over the Wizards. The Cavs only own a 4-game lead for a playoff spot. Now, I'm not going to go on some wild this isn't Hot Take Dave. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the Cavs aren't going to make the playoffs. Of course they're going to make the playoffs. They wind up as like the 6th seed, maybe? Or the 3 seed. They're half a game back of the Pacers. But they are 6.5 back of the Celtics and 11 games back in general. So they're not going to win the East. Best they could finish, I think, realistically. The best they could finish is the 3 seed. I mean, they're not going to catch up 6.5 games with 13, 14, 15 games to go. It's unlikely. 3 through 6, maybe? I mean, it's tight. It's between the 3 seed and the 8th seed is a 4.5 game difference. There's a lot of, what my point is that there's a lot of moving and shaking still to be done to the NBA standings. It doesn't end next week. Like, I know there's 15 games left. That's about 25, 30 days. The regular season doesn't end until April, middle of April. There's still a month of basketball left. Now, it's 15 games, but it's 15 games for the Celtics that aren't necessarily played on the same nights as the Raptors or the Pacers or whatever. Or for the Cavs, and it's not the same as the other, because, you know, you might play back-to-backs, and while one team doesn't, you might lose the second night of a back-to-back, which isn't uncommon. And that might make a huge difference down the stretch for how this all shakes out. So I started to place my finger on the uncomfortable button, I'd say. With, I really want the Celtics to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals and compete in that series. And I think that if you had to face the Cavs in the second round, that limits your opportunity to do so. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Boston Celtics don't stand a chance against the Cavs in 7 games. I think they do. But I think that they should be competing in the Eastern Conference Finals for that. If they were to lose to the Cavs in 7, I'd much rather it be in the 3rd round as opposed to the 2nd. Because I think that they're an Eastern Conference Finals teams. I think they're one of the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference. I do. Let's get into the injuries now. Kyrie Irving, back in 2015, he had surgery to repair, and I heard replace, but I don't know if that's true or not, but to fix a broken left kneecap. Fuck your life. That sounds awful, by the way. I chipped my kneecap when I was like 14. That's a wild thing. Still sore. I guess there's some nagging soreness that, came up last year. Also, he missed some games at the end of the stretch last year. He started to experience some pain, I guess, back around March 3rd against the Rockets in that really, really good game. He sat out the following night then, and he returned last Thursday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He played the first half of the game, and then Sunday he sat out. Or no, I'm saying he played the first half of that game, and then requested to take some time off. Suggested he may need to take some time off. He says, quote, "It's just been aching a little bit after Sunday's game. I just think I need to take some time." So they've been resting him up. Also says he wasn't too concerned. Stevens has him listed as day-to-day. His knee soreness is no more than tendonitis. That's the report from Adrian Wojnarowski. There's confidence that Boston Celtics guard Kyrie Irving's left knee soreness is no more than tendonitis and that he will not need to miss significant time. That's AWOJ, the Adam Schefter of the NBA. Stevens said Monday that he expects the team to tread slowly when it comes to Irving's return. Then you get Marcus Smart, who did a really dumb thing. Mark is smart. Did a really stupid thing by punching a mirror or a picture frame or whatever and hurt his thumb. And then he hurt it again later. He jammed his thumb diving for a loose ball, which some people are saying that might lead to the end of the year. Marcus Smart might not play basketball again this year. That's from Stevens' mouth, which is a little intense. It's called a sprain, which that call is under some scrutiny from the medical staff. Again, this is by AWatch. League sources tell ESPN still unclear if Smart can play through it or if he will need to miss time, and Stevens says that it might be a season ender. Speaking of season-ending injury, my favorite guy, Daniel Tice, tore his meniscus. He's done for the year. Tice talk officially over. Mr. Per 36. Crazy. Really funny tweet from from Max Letterman. Victor Oladipo totals in 3 games versus Celtics this season: 100 points, 18 rebounds, 7 steals, 1 uncalled offensive foul that cost Daniel Tice the rest of his NBA season. That's too bad. Stevens quoted talking about Daniel Tice is, "You really feel for him. We're going to miss him on the court, but he'll have a full recovery." So that's tough. Jaylen Brown, speaking of a guy you feel for, did his best hockey goalie impression by trying to stand on his head, failed miserably, thought he ripped his head off. It was the second, if I watched that play happen, and I was a fan of any other team and that play happened for my team, I would say that's the most awful thing I've seen this year in basketball. But wait, there's more. Gordon Hayward did what Gordon Hayward did 5 minutes into the season opener. So this seems underwhelming, I guess, as an injury. But Jaylen Brown dunked, legs swung out from underneath him, landed directly on the back of his head, thought he was paralyzed. They cut to him way too much. ESPN did an awful job there, completely out cold, and they just kept showing it over and over. Like, just very little, very insensitive by them. And I'm not saying it was like an offensive thing or anything, but just kind of give the guy a break there. They showed it a lot. So he's been under concussion protocol. He's been out. Al Horford missed Sunday's game, and also, by the way, they played a game last night on Wednesday where literally all these people were just out. Like, they had no one play. Al Horford missed Sunday's game. It was with an illness rather than any injury. After trying to come in for Sunday's game, the All-Star forward was told to stay home by the team. According to Stevens, he's in bed. He's hurting, Stevens says. Horford had a really bad fever. He's been home sick. And that's that. So Shane Larkin missed 10 straight games in late January and February due to persistent knee soreness, and while evaluations reportedly found no structural damage, his playing time has been limited since his return last month. According to Gatehouse, the backup point guard continues to be on a minutes restriction, so that's tough. And then there's Gordon Hayward, who, we all know what happened there. And the word today is that he actually suffered a setback about a month ago. So that's interesting. I guess he's recovered from that setback, but I don't know what that means or what that was. I don't have much info on that. All I'm going to say to put a bow on the Celtics situation is, yeah, they're hurt, but they're not stumbling into the playoffs hurt. There's still a month left. If Marcus Smart can play, if he can come back and they decide that he can play with his thumb, then he'll be playing. And sure, you lose Daniel Tice for the year. Yeah, absolutely. Kyrie Irving's taking some nights off. This is not that, Jaylen Brown has a concussion, but he's going to come back from a concussion. Al Horford has a bug of some sort. He's going to come back from the bug that he has. A lot of these guys are just a week or two away from being fine. And Kyrie, sure, he's experiencing some soreness, and you don't know how much that's going to bother him, but they're just managing it now. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's exactly what I want him to do. I don't want him to just be like, God, fuck it, go out there. We really need the 1 seed. We really need the 1 seed. We really need the 1 seed. Well, you might not. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm really, really looking forward to the 2 Toronto matchups that's going to happen in like 2 weeks. I'm pumped about those. Those are going to be really, really important games. And they might not be. By the time we get there, we could be 7 games back with, 8 games left and 2 against the Raptors, and it just wouldn't matter. But what I do know is that as of right now, those dates are marked on my calendar. Real quick, the other thing I want to touch on is Tom versus Time, Chapter 6, Part 6, Episode 6. Holy cow. My whole life, I've been a Tom Brady lifer. He's going to play forever. He's going to do it forever. And I'm not sold that he is anymore. He ended Tom versus Time very ominously. And, Kirk Minahan was saying, like, oh, you dope, you idiot, you believe that? That's just reality TV drama. Of course, he's adding to the suspense. Maybe. But it also makes a lot of sense. Everyone says, oh, but he said he was going to play till he's 45. He's going to play till he's 45. What happened? What he said was, and people take the second half of that, the actual quote, and run with it. And I've fallen victim of that too. I'm guilty of it also. He said that as long as I feel as good as I do right now, I don't see why I wouldn't play till 45. I want to play till 45. But he had his Achilles all screwed up. And his thumb ripped right out of his hand, basically. You think right about now, or right about the time that he filmed Episode 6, he was feeling as good as he was at the time they said, if I'm feeling as good as I do right now, which means that he feels really good at that point. Do you think he felt as good a day after the Super Bowl as he did the day that he felt really good and made that quote? No, of course not. So then, I started thinking about it. I don't feel as good as I used to. Do I want to keep doing this? And the quote that I'm running with, and the quote that really, really bothers me is here I am 3 days after the season's over. I'm getting my leg worked on and my thumb. And you're wondering, what are we doing this for? What are we doing this for? Who are we doing this for? Why are we doing this? It says something along the lines of, you need to have answers to those questions, and those answers need to have a lot of conviction. And as soon as you lose your conviction, you should probably do something else. And the fact that he's even questioning it makes me feel like he's lost some of that conviction. I don't know, it creeps me out. It fucking creeps me out. Like, maybe this year will be his last year, or he'll play out his contract, like Joe said, a month or so ago, whatever. Maybe 2 years, he's done. He told Giselle he wants to get 2 more Super Bowls. Maybe he goes and wins back-to-back, and fucking everything's perfect. He said he wanted 2 more. He got 2 more. Joe's right. He played 2 more years. He played out his contract. Whatever. I don't know. But it just feels a lot more ominous, and especially with, like, the black cloud that feels like there's some sort of dramatic, unhappy, unsettling feeling in Foxborough, where it seems like the players aren't happy with Bill and yada, yada, yada. I don't know. It just feels weird. It's unsettling. That's the only thing I would say. Tom vs. Time's really good documentary, though. And it's really, 6 episodes, about 10, 15 minutes each. It's really like an hour and 15-minute documentary. Broken up over... It was done so well. It was such a really good series. I really liked it. If you haven't seen Tom vs. Time, what are you doing? Go check it out. And also, I will note this just because I have the upper hand here and I've recorded this later than everybody else. The Patriots did trade for Jason McCourty, so they have their second corner, I feel. McCourty twins are back together again. They traded their 6th-round pick for Jason McCourty and Cleveland's 7th-round pick, so they moved back 14 spots in the draft and have their corner. Not bad. Not bad. They slide back 14 spots and get the corner they need. It'd be interesting to see what Jason McCourty still has in the tank. Him and Devin are obviously, a little older. I think they're on the wrong side of 30. If not, they're close. But I think he'll help. And I think that there's that quote about Bill Belichick only wanting to coach guys that he likes. Seems a little bit more accurate right now, because it seems like, they're pursuing Danny Woodhead again. And bringing in a McCourty, like someone I'm sure he's kind of close with, knows the family and everything. So That might be true. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, we're still a long way away from football, but this free agency period has been bonkers, which I'm sure the other guys have covered on some level. So this is my time. I appreciate you guys for listening. Don't forget to check, of course, my fridge. Right now, my fridge just fucking cooled out, and it stopped doing the wind up. That's unbelievable timing. Unreal. All right, we'll be back next week. Check out Joe. Check out Aaron coming up next. Thanks for listening.
All right, so welcome to the Joe Show. We live in what I like to call the sect, aka Southeastern Connecticut. And in Southeastern Connecticut, I don't know if you know this, sometimes it fucking snows. And when it snows, on the day we are supposed to record the podcast, that can be kind of a hassle because we all have to travel to one location and record in one room, and sometimes snow stops that from happening. So, as I'm sure Aaron and Dave may have already told you, I don't know where Dave's gonna put this in. It snowed, so now we have to do separate little segments, and we're gonna stitch them together and kind of make a fucking Frankenstein-like show out of it, a la the Bomb Cyclone episode, I don't know, like a month or so ago. It just so happens that this giant snowstorm that we got, and my town got fucking dumped on with snow. This giant snowstorm happened probably in the biggest week of football offseason, and that is the fucking free agency signing period. One of the better shows that we probably would have had happened to get dumped on by snow. So we're going to talk about football, NFL offseason. We're going to talk about the Bruins. We're going to talk about, touch on Celtics just a little bit because I'm worried about injuries. And, alright, I touched on the Celtics. I'm worried about their injuries a lot, and they need to rest to get ready for the playoffs, and I don't even care about the 1 seed anymore. Fuck the 1 seed. Get healthy. That's all I care about because they can make a playoff run if they are healthy, and I really need them to get healthy. There we go. We touched on the Celtics, and that's probably going to wrap it up. We're going to try and keep this short because we need to fit 3 of these into a little podcast for you guys. And a lot of our time is going to be taken up with NFL free agency. The Patriots, let's start. Before free agency even started, the Pats made a trade. They traded for Danny Shelton of the Browns. This is good. I need to dispel one thing. This is not a move for the pass rush. Danny Shelton is not a pass rush guy. What he is pretty much a younger version of Alan Branch. The Pats let go of Alan Branch. They told him they weren't going to bring him back. I know Aaron was probably upset about that. He was an Alan Branch guy. It doesn't matter. They traded for Danny Shelton. Danny Shelton is Alan Branch, except much younger. And he's still very good, and he's graded Pro Football Focus, one of the better run stoppers in the NFL. So this is very good. If you pair him next to Malcolm Brown there in the middle, this is very good for stopping the run with those two guys. Like mini Vince Wilfork's there in a 4-3 defense. Or, they can alternate in a 3-4. I don't know how Bill plans to use them exactly. They like to run that multiple front. But in a 4-3, have a fun time running up the middle with those two big behemoths in the middle with Malcolm Brown and Danny Shelton. I really like that trade. Doesn't help their pass rush at all. Really like that trade. Then NFL free agency comes around, and the NFL fucking tips on its head. Just fucking everything goes bananas. So, just break down some overall moves that happened to you. The Vikings go out. They give Kirk Cousins the very first ever fully guaranteed contract. Just, we're going to pay you fucking $80 million, and all of it you're going to see. There's no incentives. It doesn't matter if you get hurt. It doesn't matter if you turn into freaking Brock Osweiler halfway through the year. Kirk Cousins is getting that $80 million no matter what. First ever NFL fully guaranteed contract. Then, actually before Kirk Cousins becomes the first ever fully guaranteed NFL player, Richard Sherman gets cut from Seattle and is quickly signed by the West Coast Patriots, a.k.a. the San Francisco 49ers. So he's there, and he negotiated a terrible deal for himself, and it works out great for the 49ers, and Jimmy Garoppolo is going to win a Super Bowl. After that, Case Keenum goes to the Broncos. Does that scare me? Not at all. The Broncos defense is nowhere near what it was. Why? Because Aqib Talib traded to the Rams. Now the Rams, very good team, traded for Marcus Peters, probably top 5 corner in the NFL, and then traded for Aqib Talib, probably top 10 corner in the NFL. So the Rams are really going for it. We're trying to win a Super Bowl. Vikings, going for it. Really going for it. Kirk Cousins added to that team, should be a Super Bowl contender. The Eagles, somehow, playing John Elway Magic Cap, are $15 million over the cap. I'll repeat that. They are already $15 million over the cap. Signed Haloti Ngata. Don't know how they're going to do it. Have no idea how the Eagles are pulling this shit off. They're going to sign Haloti Ngata. And then they signed back one of their other guys, like a linebacker that was on their team. Now the rumor is they're going to trade Michael Kendricks or cut Michael Kendricks, and they get like a $7.5 million cap relief from that. That could be a Pats guy. Michael Kendricks, bolster your linebacker core. He could be a Pats guy. Tyrann Mathieu got cut. Potential Pats guy. He's been linked a lot. Probably the biggest news, Jimmy Graham, who I wanted on the Pats, he goes to the Packers. And then the Packers cut Jordy Nelson. And then everyone on Patriots Twitter lost their mind and went, oh my God, we need to get Jordy Nelson. And I think this is a holdover from like Rashae Caldwell, Brady, where everyone was like, we need to get Brady weapons. We need to get Brady weapons. Guess what? I don't want Jordy Nelson. I don't want a 30-year-old receiver who's constantly injured, a 33-year-old receiver who's constantly injured, coming off one of the worst careers in this season, in his career, worst seasons in his career, who just got cut by his team. I don't want him because we have Cooks, we have Hogan, we lost Amendola, that sucks. He went to Miami. We lost Dion Lewis. That sucks. He went to Tennessee along with his other teammate who was on New England, and we all knew was going to leave, Malcolm Butler. He also went to Tennessee. So Tennessee, with Mike Vrabel quickly turning into the South Patriots along with Houston. They're both in the same division, so we got Patriots roots down there. But yeah, Malcolm Butler and Dion Lewis both went to Tennessee. The Pats signed back Rex Burkhead. They signed back Nate Ebner. And then today, I don't know when Aaron recorded his. I think he recorded his early in the morning, so I don't know if he touched on this. But Dave probably did. I don't know. Actually, he could have recorded his already, too. Fucking Nate Solder is gone. Signed with the Giants. This is bad. Losing Nate Solder is bad as of right now. They haven't brought anyone in. They drafted, what was his name? Like Max Garcia, I think that might have been his name. Or something Garcia, I think, last year as a tackle. And I'm pretty sure he was on like IR all year. So they never got to see him. But the tackle situation kind of fucked. Adrian Waddle and Cameron Fleming are both technically free agents. I'm expecting them both to be back on the Pats. And I don't expect a free agent tackle to come in. I'm expecting Waddle back. I'm expecting Fleming back. Cannon will be healthy to start the year, and they'll probably draft another tackle along with Garcia, or offensive lineman of some sort. And then they will probably just have an open competition to decide who's going to be their tackles. I would not be surprised if we see a switch of Marcus Cannon from right tackle to left tackle, although I think he is significantly better at right tackle, and I'm very worried about him switching to left tackle. Adrian Waddle used to play left tackle for the Lions. He got a knee surgery. He hasn't quite been the same player since, even when he's playing right tackle. You could try him at left tackle, or, spend a high draft pick on a lineman in the first round, maybe. Go grab a lineman and see what you got. Hopefully, you maybe a plug and play tackle guy. But there isn't a lot of left tackle talent in this draft. Not plug and play left tackle talent, at least. So that'll be tough. Joe Thomas retired. And am I missing anything else for the Pats? Gronk probably still unhappy. He put up an Instagram post about Amendola leaving and really highlighted the free and happy. He all caps free and happy in that Instagram post, which is kind of a subliminal message. You know what? I think, not to toot my own horn, but I'm going to do it twice on this podcast. I think earlier this year I called that I think Belichick is done coaching within the next 2 or 3 years, I think I said. And I really think this might be, I don't know when his contract is up, but Belichick might be done after this year or after next year. I don't think he's going to go longer than that. I think this team will quickly become Josh McDaniels' team, and I think a lot of players seem to be unhappy with how things are being handled in New England. And I've heard Brady mentions it in Tom vs. Time. Gronk's mentioned it about not having fun or not being happy or not being appreciated. And I think this locker room is starting, especially with the veterans, is starting to turn on Bill Belichick. So there's only two ways that this can go. Either Belichick leaves or the veterans leave, and you get a new crop of guys who are okay with the way Belichick handles things. I don't know. I have a gut feeling that Belichick is done very soon, and then Brady is done soon after, and we go back to being a team that's rebuilding. And hopefully it'll be a smooth transition, a la, the Celtics and how they handled everything. But I think that this myth that Brady is going to be the New England Patriots quarterback until he's 67, that's not going to happen. And I'll be happy if he makes it to 45, but that seems very unlikely too. I think we might get Brady till he's about 44, 43, at the most. That's like the top end for me. He's leaving soon, and I think I don't think it's lack of love for the game or that he's going to be bad. I think he's just gonna. It's going to be too much from Giselle, and too much pressure from Giselle, and focusing on his family and stuff. I think he's going to be done soon. I am not very optimistic about the far future of the Pats. I'm also very interested to see what this team looks like post Belichick and Brady, because I don't want to construe this. I will be very, very, very upset, borderline unconsolable, when Belichick and Brady are both gone. This is an era like we'll never see again in pro football. We'll never see dominance for this long on this level ever again. I 100% believe that. But I've been a Pats fan since I really started paying attention to pro football when I was 8 years old. That's 1998. And even then, as an 8-year-old, you only understand so much. So Curtis Martin was my favorite player. By the time I was 11, the dynasty started. So pretty much 3 years after I started taking football seriously as a fan, until the time I was 27, and until they retire, so let's say by the time I'm 30, from 11 to 30, all I've seen is winning seasons. And playoff appearances, and conference championships, and division championships, and Super Bowls. That's all I know. So it will be interesting and bring a different kind of enthusiasm from me to see what this team looks like when they're not good. when we've had such stability. Can you imagine this team with a different quarterback and coach? I can't. It's tough. And it's almost exciting to think about what the future of the Pats is. But, I'm at no rush to get to that. I'd rather win 10 more Super Bowls. But I don't think that's going to happen. The Pats, long story short, have been a complete stick in the mud in free agency. They have not signed an outside player. They've been tied to Jordy Nelson. They've been tied to Tyrann Mathieu. They've been tied to Adrian Claiborne from the Atlanta Falcons, which is a signing that I do like. I think, don't hold me to this, but I think Adrian Claiborne is the guy who just absolutely dominated that backup Cowboys left tackle, that one game for like 7 sacks. Any guy that can take on someone and get 7 sacks in a game, even if it is some complete scrub left tackle, I want in this defense for a pass rush. Any kind of pass rush we can get. If you think Claiborne is going to be a fit, go get him. I don't want Jordy Nelson. Been over this. Don't want Jordy Nelson. You got Amendola. You don't have Amendola. I'm sorry. You got Hogan. You got Edelman. You got Mitchell. You got Britt. You got the kid from Indy, Dorsett still. You still have Gronk. You still have James White. You still have Rex Burkhead. You still have Gillislee's back. They'll probably add a running back. You still have the draft. So this team will not be short pass-catching options. You don't need Jordy Nelson. And I don't even want to waste the money on it. I'd rather... The Pats only have like $20 million cap space. I'd rather they throw that money on defense. So hopefully we see a little bit of action by the Pats. There's not a lot of big names left at all. You'll see some more people cut to free up space to sign other people. So maybe one of those guys the Pats will target. Oh, and Ndamukong Suh hasn't signed, so that could be interesting. We'll see. We'll see what the Pats do. I'm expecting them to make a few free agency moves and not just sign back the guys that they would have lost. So we'll see what the Pats do, but they have been a complete stick in the mud up until this point with no big signings. And losing a lot of their guys, just being fucking vultured by other teams. Let's talk about the Bruins for a second. I am currently in a cabana lounge on the sunny shores of Bruins Stanley Cup Island for 2018. And the resort, almost done behind us. All the rooms are empty. Now, I don't know where Aaron and Dave stand on this, but the statue for Mr. Nash is 3/4 done. And once the resort is done and the statue is done, I don't know how many people I'm going to invite onto the island, but I've been here the whole time. The Bruins are going to win the Stanley Cup. This team is scorching hot right now. Fucking scorching hot. I think the last game they played, they were down 4-1 going into the third period. What did they win? They won 6-4. Think about that. 5 goals, 1 period. This team is fucking red hot. Pasternak had a fucking third period hat trick. Fucking amazing, man. This team is a cup team. And I said it after the Pats lost the Super Bowl. I said bold prediction, which I guess I couched it a little bit. Bold prediction, a Boston team will still win a championship this year, and in a 100% ride or die, I'm on the Bruins, on Bruins Island, capital Joe City. We're winning a fucking Stanley Cup. And I'm on the island first. I founded it. I created it. It's a man-made island. It's in the shape of the Stanley Cup. And Aaron and Dave are like floating off on some weird, randomly built raft that's like kind of thrown together with sticks. It could sink at any moment. And you know what? I'm not ready to throw them a life raft because I offered them a spot on the island next to me, and they're like, I don't know if I want to. Hot take, Joe, hot take. I don't know if I. No, this team's red hot. They're gonna run through the playoffs. They're gonna frickin'. We're bringing home a Stanley Cup to Boston. The parade streak continues. I guess the parade streak's really only at 1, so there's that. but it'll be at 2. All right, we'll start a parade streak. That's it. I think I touched on the Bruins, Stanley Cup Island. We went over NFL free agency and the Pats and the downfall of the Pats really quickly. Very, very, very quickly touched on the Celtics. The Red Sox, they're in spring training. So, I mean, nothing really on the Red Sox front yet. I'm not going to go over rotations and potential lineups and shit like that. So that's it from me. We'll see what the other guys said. And adios, amigos.
Hey everyone, it's Aaron. We had another storm again, so we're going to be doing this a little bit separately. 1/3 of the nerds doing it on their own, and then Dave will be mixing it all together. We've had some crazy news with the Pats, saying goodbye to Danny Amendola. Went to Miami. Bye to Malcolm Butler. And Dion Lewis both went to the Tennessee Titans, which, man, the Titans, that could be nasty next year. Just straight up nasty. A little concerned about that, but hey, as Dave and Joe keep telling me, they don't make enough moves right now. They don't ever do, and that's what bothers me. The Pats never make a lot of moves at this time of the year. Now, I get it. If you're making a lot of moves this time of year, there's usually something wrong with your franchise, your team, whatever. You need more than other people. But at the same time, you're losing out on legit talent. They made a trade for Danny Shelton from the Browns. So, I mean, yes, he's been on the Browns, but he's 6'2", 335 pounds. Massive human being. Obviously, you don't need an Alan Branch. You don't need these, and you already have Malcolm Brown, so you have defensive tackles that can stop the run, which was your issue in the playoffs last year and the Super Bowl. Only concern is he only had 33 tackles last season. Now, if you're a run stopper, you don't need a lot of tackles. Doesn't really end up on the stat line. He's young. He's good. I think he went to the University of Washington. Great player. Seems like a perfect Patriot. So I'm excited to see what he can do in this defense. Also, they just need to go out and get a pass rusher. Get me somebody that can get after the quarterback. Yes, Danny Shelton's going to be a great player for you, but who's putting pressure on the quarterback? And I don't want to hear Hightower, because he's expected to do a lot more than just rush the quarterback, unless that's what they're going to do with him. Hey, you're a pass rusher now. That's all you ever do. James Harden? I mean, not Harden. James Harrison? He is insane. He's still posting videos of working out. The man is in crazy shape. Bring him back for one more season. Give him a full season with the Pats. I think that would open up so much, especially for a guy like Hightower, where he doesn't have to be the pass rusher on this team. Just go out and do it. And to think, and I know everybody keeps saying, we got the draft coming up. We got the draft. If you know anything about the Patriots, the draft is one of the hardest things to watch, because they don't go out and just draft high. They never like to draft high, and when they do, they trade away a lot of picks. This draft is not going to fix all of your problems. It's really not. As Joe pointed out, this isn't a great pass rusher draft. So you need a pass rusher. Make a move for somebody on the free agent market. Do something. I keep hearing there's a possibility of Ndamukong Suh. I don't love that. but he is a name, and he is talented, and will create a lot of pressure on himself, but open up lanes for other people to make a move. So I like it for that fact that they're going to put 2 guys on him every down to try to stop him. Opens up stuff for other people. The other concern is they're saying they're being linked to Jordy Nelson, which, hey, I love. I don't know if they need another wide receiver, but if you think about it, they have a lot of issues at wide receiver. You're expecting Julian Edelman to come back and be this stud receiver again coming off of knee surgery. Like, that's a lot to expect of him. Malcolm Mitchell spent all last season not playing. You expect a lot out of him. I get it, you still have Hogan, you still have Cooks. But that's about it. And I know they're going to keep, I can never remember his name, but the guy that used to play for, I want to say it was the Rams, the Browns, but you know him, Kenny Britt. And you obviously lost Danny Amendola, so you don't have that safety net anymore if Edelman goes down again. So I think that's why I think Jordy Nelson would be great for this team. I'm sad to see that Jimmy Graham went to the Packers. I mean, congrats for Aaron Rodgers and getting some great, weapons. And they picked up some defensive players as well. I mean, they're making a lot of moves. But that shoots all my plans to shit. They also cut Bennett like a day after we recorded last week, so that made me look great. So Bennett's gone. You literally have 2 tight ends on your team, Hollister and Gronk. I don't know if you can expect after this season Gronk to keep playing, especially after this offseason. So I would have started making plans for that. They could draft a guy, but like I said, I don't expect the draft to fix all of their problems and needs, and that worries me. As a Pats fan, I'm always excited to see what they're going to go out and get. There's Danny Shelton. That's a good pickup. It's a good pickup. They picked him up for like a draft pick. You didn't give up a lot. But there's also other things you need. They need to go out and make those deals. Now, I understand that this time of the year, they're kind of quiet, and they wait till it's, actual free agency, not temporary, the legally tampering period like it is going on right now. But I just want to see them do something. And all these quarterbacks going all these crazy places kind of, it might hamstring some of those teams to go out and get actual good players. Minnesota's getting Cousins. Where did Keenum end up? He ended up in, I think they're saying Denver. So those, Joe's theory of Cousins going to Denver, that didn't happen, but they did get a quarterback. And then I heard Bridgewater went to the Jets. So the only other thing I want to take away from all this that so far that's been going on is the East hasn't gotten any better. I don't think. Buffalo's traded away a lot of players. Miami traded away their best wide receiver. I mean, they signed Danny Amendola, but if you expect him to be your best wide receiver, you're high. I mean, he's going to be a great player for you. Don't get me wrong. He's going to do the things that a lot of other guys don't want to do, but he's not going to, beat anybody downfield. He's not going to go deep. You know what I mean? Just kind of a confusing time right now, especially as a Pats fan. I'm sitting here watching it, don't know what they're going to do. Like always, I have no clue. And Belichick likes to kind of just mess with us as fans. It's a little infuriating, but hopefully down the road we'll look back and just go, oh, wow, this worked out. don't see that happening. Me being the ultimate glass half empty kind of guy. But let's hope. I'll get fingers crossed, cross my toes. Just kind of worried about it. But hey, like I said, we'll see. I just want to see them go out and get legit talent. Shelton's a good defensive tackle. Not Ndamukong Suh, but you're not going to have to pay as much for this guy. So I like that. I know pretty much Dave and Joe are going to talk about, I assume, Joe, but I'm pretty sure Dave's going to talk about his boy Tice possibly being done for the season. And the Celtics just getting hit with the injury bug and all that fun stuff. And I don't know what else. I'm sure anything that I think, the other guys are going to be completely opposite of. But that's pretty much it for the Pats. The Sox, they're not really doing nothing. It's spring training. Nobody looks crazy good. Nobody looks crazy bad. So I don't know what to say about those guys. And then, so the Bruins, that's where I really want to talk. So you got Backus back. He came back from his 3-game suspension, which I'm happy about. They've been kind of playing well, but they've been giving up a lot of goals. That's my big worry right now. I think like last night they beat Carolina 6-4. Like they were losing at one point, I believe, 4-1. So they need to. Their goaltending needs to get better, or at least their defense in front of the goaltending to assist that. Marchand got fined for, I don't know if it was a dirty hit. If you look at it in freeze frame, it looks dirty, but if you watch it in real time, it's very like bang bang play, trying to get out of the way. Didn't quite work. Rick Nash is just blowing my expectations out of the water. He is assisting. He scores a goal every once in a while when they need him to. He's more along the lines of, hey guys, I know I'm not part of the team yet. Like, he's a part of the team. Obviously, that they like him, they wanted him here, and all the guys respect him. But what I'm saying is, he understands that this has been working all season without him. I'll come in and do whatever you need me to do. You need me to score goals tonight, I can get in there, mix it up. If you need me to help you, get down and dirty and get you the puck so you can get the goal, he's willing to do it. He wants the cup, which is what I'm so happy for. They need a guy that's that serious about this postseason, and seeing that this is maybe one of his last or only chances at a cup. He's not young, but he's not too old. It's just you get on a team that's, literally 4th best record in hockey, 4 points behind Tampa in the division. You can't waste those opportunities, and I feel like he's saying that with his play and how hard he's playing. Pasternak, hat trick last night in that 6-4 win. Now, so I'm recording this on Wednesday morning, just to clarify. So if anything crazy happens with the Pats, the Celtics, the Bruins, anything, I'm sorry I missed it. I'm going on vacation today. I'm leaving for Vermont. We had this crazy snowstorm. That's why we didn't record last night together. I'm leaving town wanting to get this out for you. And the other thing that I want to talk about is New Jersey making a push for the wild card. I believe they made a trade for somebody really good this season, and I want to say it was like, I don't know, I could be wrong, like Taylor Hall or something like that, which was like a number 2 pick overall behind, or he was the number 1 pick before Sagan. It worries me, some of these teams, like Tampa's really good, and Philly's playing better, and all these teams are starting to figure it out, which at the same time, Bruins are all starting to figure it out. They're getting more goal scoring. They're playing harder. what does that mean for the postseason? I think your goalies are getting a little tired. I think the postseason could help with the simple fact that you're just going to get playoff hockey, which to me, like, it's weird, like that light turns on in some guys' heads and they just start making stops. They, for some reason during the regular season, you didn't see them make. They're like, their season's on the line. Well, yeah, it is. And I'm a little nervous about New Jersey for the simple fact that they're just playing well. I don't know. There's just so many teams. Like, they play well against Pittsburgh, which is crazy. The defending champs, 2-time defending champs, for some reason, they don't play that great against Boston. Boston, for some reason, kind of has their number. I mean, they score a lot of goals, but so do the Boston. Obviously, they win. What does that mean? I don't know. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, Joe tries to get us all to jump on his island with him that they're going to win the cup. I can't do that yet. I want to. Don't get me wrong. I want this team to win. I want to be able to sit down and have a conversation about it, about this team, and about all the changes this team's had to make in the past 2 years. Getting rid of Claude, getting rid of, I can never remember the old GM's name, but I just think you need guys in charge that can take their talent and just put them where they can succeed, which is, I think, what the Bruins are doing, which is what we always talk about the Patriots doing, finding a player that's not that great and putting him in a position to succeed and giving him the knowledge. And I think that's what the Bruins are doing. They're young, they're talented, they have a couple veteran players. I know Bergeron's a little dinged up, which is tough, but he always plays through everything. Like, that's what's crazy about him. He just plays through everything. And if you look at, like, Marchand's stats, he's not even involved in the he's not involved in the MVP voting or anything. Like, they won't acknowledge him at all because they consider him a dirty player. But how is he not even, like, getting votes? For the simple fact that, at least from like the Boston writers, for the simple fact that he is unreal for a 5'9" guy. He's only like a couple points behind, like, what we consider some of the best players in the league, and he doesn't even get talked about. Like, we talk about him in Boston, but nobody else wants to talk about him because they all hate him. They consider him a little rat. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I get if you're not a fan of Boston, you have issues with him. But these writers, that's not their job. Like, there's certain players, I will admit, that I hate. Like a LeBron James. Can I admit that he is probably the best basketball player in the game? Yeah, I can admit that. Now, am I comparing him to LeBron? No, not at all. But Marchand, for a guy, he's just a dirt dog. He's a small guy. He had to show what he could do. He doesn't get any calls. You know what I mean? Like, he gets penalized so much. But if you watch other guys in the league that are considered stars, like Ovechkin or Crosby, look at him, man. Watch him. He is so fucking dirty as a player. And they don't even listen to it. They don't even, like, he gets like minors. He doesn't even get minors. They just look at him and go, oh, it's Crosby. That's okay. He's the face of the league. It's okay. At some point, this league needs, and that's the thing I should have just said, the penalties right now are just insane. Like, I get Backus's suspension. I get the fines on Marchand. I get the suspensions on Marchand for the simple fact that he just has a history of it. Backus, I didn't get 3 games. Should have been like 1 or 2, not 3. He has no history of it. No history. That's insane to me. That this guy it's crazy. And this isn't, oh, well, it's against Boston. No, there's other players in the league that get penalized a lot, and they do the same play as Crosby, and they just get called on it, and he doesn't. So it's not hey, we're Boston, we get shit on by everybody. No. And I just wanted to get that out a little frustration when I watch hockey right now. It's just, I get it. They're trying to take out concussions. They don't want fighting. They don't want this. They don't want that. You're going to lose a lot of your fans if you keep taking this shit out and you keep penalizing players. Now, if you're going to penalize Marchand, do it. Fine. That's the rule. But penalize everybody the same. And if he has a history of it like Marchand does, okay. Makes sense. But if a guy doesn't have the history of it, like a Bacchus, I think you're at this point just trying to prove a point, and it makes no sense to me. And I'm not happy with how it's going down. I think in the playoffs, they let them play more. They don't get they don't get as crazy of penalties, and they don't get suspended. So we'll see what happens in the postseason. That's where I'm really excited to see what happens, and also nervous to see how they call it. Well, this is Aaron, 1/3 of the Nerds, and I'm out of here. I'm on my way to Vermont. As you guys are probably listening to this, I will either be on my way to Vermont or on my way home from Vermont. So take it easy, ladies and gentlemen, and have a great weekend.